Taoiseach, this week your government and your party delivered a devastating budget which has hit the poorest hardest. And again we're seeing a government that is protecting the high earners. We've seen how government looks after its own party. The party hacks have been appointed as special advisers in high positions. Pay caps are being breached, and because you tell us that these people are worth it. Yet nothing is done for those on the dole, and we've seen the treatment that you have dished out to those in disability allowance, to those on lone parents, to those in community nursing homes. Taoiseach, today the European Central Bank's Governing Council meets, and it's widely expected that they will cut the interest rates once again. And this will be welcome news for at least for the 100,000 people out there who are in mortgage distress, who this government has abandoned, and many, many more. But last month, Taoiseach, we had this pathetic display of government who jumped up and down about the refusal of Bank of Ireland and of Ulster Bank to pass on the cut in the ECB interest rate to the hard-pressed mortgage holders. Ultimately, after some bluster, you simply did nothing. So, Taoiseach, it is completely and utterly unacceptable that banks who have received billions of euro in taxpayers' money refuse to pass on ECB interest rates, as we've seen last month and in previous months. These banks have been bailed out by the taxpayer. There's public interest directors on their boards of these banks. So, Taoiseach, what concrete steps is this government going to take to ensure that the expected ECB cut is passed on to every single mortgage holder out there?
I think it is a pity that Deputy Doherty insists on spoiling what would otherwise be very good and valid issues that he raises by just naked exaggeration. When you say, for example, that this government has done nothing for those on the dole in relation to the budget, we protected the level of social welfare payment to those on job seekers, the basic rates of social welfare payment. And secondly, Deputy Doherty, we have included in the budget proposals a whole range of measures which are designed at getting people back to work, getting business moving again, and getting our economy to grow again. When you say, for example, that we have abandoned people who are in mortgage difficulties and who have difficulties with house repayments, you fly in the face of the truth. The reality is, in the budget, for example, we have increased the level of mortgage interest relief for people who bought at the height of the boom. The Minister for Finance made it clear that the measures contained in the Keane report are going to be implemented, and there will be an implementation programme for those. You are quite right, yes, that when the last reduction in the ECB interest rate was introduced, the government did call in the banks and did talk to the banks. Allied Irish Bank did follow the request that the government made to reduce the interest rate in line with the ECB. Most of the other financial institutions did likewise. Two of them didn't do so, and I would hope that on this occasion that they will do so. I understand that one of those financial institutions is today launching a new mortgage product which is designed at helping people who are having difficulties with their mortgages. But I want to be absolutely clear with you. This government is not only concerned about the issues and the difficulties that are faced by people with their mortgages, we have taken action on it and we are continuing to take action on it.
Thank you, Taoiseach. Deputy Doherty.
I could spend all day correcting you on the points that you've made. For example, mortgage interest supplement has, and this is the question, but for example, mortgage interest supplement has been deferred and payments have been cut by €22.5 million, and part-time workers will now not be eligible to the same type of social welfare benefit that they were eligible to previous. But Minister, the question is this, and you talk about that you hope that the banks will pass on the interest rate. Well, there are thousands of people that are hoping that this government will do something, and it is in your power not to be telling the banks that you hope they'll pass it on, to actually act decisively, to say to the banks that you have guaranteed, as a result of this decision by your government last week, that you have pumped billions of euro, €20.7 billion has been pumped into the banks since this time last year. I want you to say to mortgage holders out there that you will bring in legislation that you will force the banks to pass on the ECB interest rate cut that is expected to be announced today. That is what people did when they elected a government. They asked them to act on behalf of their interests, not in the interest of the bank. So this kind of nonsense about ministers standing up and saying it's pathetic that the banks don't pass on the interest rates. You're in power. You have the power to cut social welfare rates, child benefit, one-parent families rates. You also have the power to instruct the banks to pass on this rate. So act on behalf of people's interests. Taoiseach.
This is the first government that brought in the banks and that addressed face up with the banks the issue of passing on the interest rate reductions. These were the same banks. These were the same banks that you, Deputy Doherty, in fulsome language, was so happy to guarantee a mere 3 years ago. I want to be absolutely clear with you. This government is dealing with the issue of mortgage difficulties that people have. We have increased the level of mortgage interest relief for people who bought at the height of the boom. We set up a working group to deal with the issue of mortgage difficulties. The report of that group was debated here in the House. The recommendations of that group are to be implemented, as indicated by the Minister for Finance in his budget speech, and there will be a plan for that. When the last decrease in interest rates occurred, the government called in the banks. If necessary, we will do that again. You need be in no doubt, Deputy Doherty. You need be in no doubt. You need be in no doubt, Deputy Doherty, that this government will act decisively, forcefully, and effectively with the banks and with anybody else in the interests of those who hold mortgages and who are having difficulty repaying them.